What's going on, guys? Duelim here, back again with another video. And today we've got Cosmic Crucible Season 6, the Counter Everything Guide. That's right, I'm doing it again. This time doing it way earlier in the season with massive, massive help from Juicy, Squatch Cthulhu, and Sparkles. They've been helping me compile a spreadsheet, which I used in my last Counter Everything video for Season 5. So that will be down in the description below. They have compiled so much information and I'm just summarizing it and putting it into a video. So they're doing so much hard work and we're looking at so many different videos and so many different submissions. We also have a Discord now. Juicy and I are running that. We have, that will be in the description below. So you guys can follow our Discord for Cosmic Crucible help. An infographic will also be there with all of this information in it. I am working on making an infographic. But yeah, this is going to be your guide to counter everything in Season 6 as far as week 1 goes. So obviously as new tunes come out, things will change and I will update the infographic and I will also make another video if there's enough information to go off of it. But this is going to be your guide. This is it right here. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Kicking off room 1, we've got Gamma in here, and if you remember, the room rules are going to be invulnerable. If there is anybody under 50% life that is a Raider or a Skirmisher ISO class, they will gain 200% extra damage. So I've seen Gamma in here a little bit, but if you see Gamma, you know New Warriors takes it out extremely well. But if you need to use New Warriors elsewhere, you can always use Pegasus in here as well on a pretty big punch-up, as long as the Kestrel is big and can delete some people. But that's going to be it for Gamma in room number 1. Next defense I've seen is full Hivemind. Now, I know this is not the full Hivemind because I don't have Red Goblin. Just imagine he's red. It's fine. It's going to be New Warriors are going to absolutely slap this room as well. Hivemind should not be on defense if you guys are watching this. If you see it on defense and it's not in room 4, just New Warriors it. And as long as there's no sus with it, it doesn't really matter. Full Hivemind is not a great team to put on defense. I recommend using them for offense. But if you do see them, use New Warriors. Will absolutely destroy them. MOE will also destroy them. A lot of things will do well here, but New Warriors is going to be the most effective. Next up, we've got New Avengers. New Avengers are going to be super easy to kill this season too. They do not rely on the room rules very well here. So New Avengers are going to absolutely smack it as well. And what I've seen people doing is taking out Thing and putting in Dormammu. And again, New Warriors just absolutely slaps this room into oblivion, even if they have the revives. They get rewound so much that it really doesn't matter. New Warriors are the go-to if you see New Avengers. Absolutely, no matter what, as long as they're not in room 4, then you can use something like Pegasus and it still gets it done. Next up, we got Infinity Watch, and Infinity Watch in room 1 is super easy. Nothing changes here based on these room rules. So Infinity Watch in room 1 is still going to be the Eternals, Big Time Spider-Man, Omega Red, Shang-Chi, doesn't really matter for the other two. The opening move is going to be Big Time Spider-Man using his special on Nebula, and it's going to take off the revive from Nebula, and then it'll also take off the revive from Gamora because it hits the tune with the next highest speed stat. And then you use the Icarus ult and you get a double tap on Nebula and Gamora, and then the others are very low, then you clean it up from there. Super efficient fight. If for whatever reason you don't have Big Time, you could also throw in an extra Superior 6 member or an extra Hivemind member and hope they just get hit, because when they get hit, they lose their active revive. That's another option, but as far as this room goes, you probably won't be seeing it much, but I wanted to make sure I covered it. Next up, we're going to be talking about full Unlimited in room number 1. Unlimited is going to be a little bit worse. They do a little well in this room just because of the Raiders and Skirmishers. Obviously, Gambit with the pings is always going to be a good thing. But what you could do here is New Warriors it, as long as your Firestar Ultimate and your Gwen Special are not going to push one of these characters below 50% health for Rogue to get that reflexive taunt. New Warriors is a safe fight here. All you do is literally just target Gambit and start laying into him. You'll do the Firestar ult, you'll do the Death Pool special, get all the bleeds on him, everything like that, and he'll die pretty quickly. But if you push him below 50% life, then Rogue gets that reflexive taunt, then you're stuck on her, which is really unfortunate. And then the other option for this room is going to be full MOE. MOE absolutely destroys this room. It's just like the old days. You use the Titania ult on Rogue. Then you use the Kang special on Dazzler, which will most likely one-shot the Dazzler since you're going to have the vulnerables out there from Kang passive and Kang as a striker. Then from there, you use the Ultron basic anywhere. It literally doesn't matter. Just don't summon the bots. Then you're going to use the Moonstone special on Gambit. And Gambit will be trauma stunned because he will just take his turn right before Moonstone. Gambit trauma stunned. Play until you get to the, get even damage on everybody until you get to the Kang ult, and it's absolutely over. Next up, we've got Xtreme with Rogue. This is going to be a little bit trickier of a fight just because Rogue gets the reflexive taunts here, and you have way bigger damage dealers here when it comes to Nightcrawler, and also Forge being a problem. So here, the safest bet is going to be either MOE Apoc, absolutely works this. And then all you have to do is put Apoc next to your Absorbing Man, actually, because what's going to happen is Gambit will end up taking his turn first before anybody else on his team. He'll do the special, hit the Absorbing Man, and the adjacent attack will hit the Apoc. Then the Apoc retaliate will stun the Gambit, and then he will never take another turn again. That works extremely, extremely well for this room. The only other thing that works here is going to be Superior 6. Superior 6 is going to be the same matchup that we saw before. It's going to be kind of focusing down that Forge, making sure he dies, gets that ability block, and then going from there. But this room is not too bad for Xtreme and Rogue as long as you take in the right pieces. So, I lied. There's going to be one more counter to Xtreme with Rogue in room number 1, and that's going to be MOE with Dormammu. Now, this matchup is a little temperamental because there are some health triggers that you have to worry about. Sometimes you can push Gambit too far and then he's under stealth and then you can't get that trauma stun with Dormammu. So you have to be a little bit careful. There is going to be a video in the spreadsheet regarding this, and there are notes that say careful with health triggers. But this is another option if you have your Dormammu on offense. Obviously, the revives are going to be a little bit of an insurance policy for you. So it could be another option for you to take out Xtreme with Rogue in room 1. Kicking off room number 2, you'll see the room rules here. Room number 2 is Mystics. When they have a negative effect such as Bleed, Disrupt, or Offense down, they're going to gain 20% Drain. Now, these room rules are kind of meh, honestly, and there's really nothing that works super well with it. There's 2 things that I've seen in this room, though, and that's going to be Bifrost. People have been putting Bifrost in here because they're all Mystics, so why not? It's terrible, honestly. Eternals rips this. New Warriors destroys this. MOE destroys this. And I think Vol is much better on offense because of the exposed mechanic and being able to work well with Super Scroll. Vol's found his or their way in the Cosmic Crucible meta pretty quickly. But it's not that worth it, honestly. It's not worth it to put Bifrost in here. Coming into room number 2, you've got Darkhold, and this is going to be pretty much with any 5th you can imagine. This is going to be with Dorm, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Loki, anything. All you have to use is Tangled Web. It's going to be obviously Weaver and 2099. Then you're going to use Nova. Then you're going to use Kestrel and Iron Man Infinity War. The Iron Man Infinity War does not need to be that big. He's just there to augment the damage from Kestrel, and this absolutely rips pretty much every single Darkhold team that you can imagine, which is what a lot of people have been throwing in room number 2. Next up, we're going to be talking about the When It Rains room, room number 3, and you see the rules on the screen here. Anytime someone gains a positive effect, it will stack on top of the next positive effect and extend all other ones. Same thing with negative effects here. So you can see a team like Xtreme with Rogue is really great here because if Rogue gets to her special, you're probably never getting off of her ever again. But the counter to this team is going to be Superior 6, but instead of dropping a Lizard like you're normally used to, you're going to drop Spider Slayer. Lizard is going to be really helpful here because of all the buffs that he's going to copy, steal, and spread to his allies is going to be awesome. So once you do that, it's going to be pretty much the same fight as normal here. Make sure Forge doesn't ult, so you want to make sure the Kraven special goes on Forge. Play it out from there, and it's pretty straightforward. Coming in for Infinity Watch is going to be the room where you're going to see them the most in because of the positive effects that they get on spawn. The number 1 counter that you're going to have to this, if you're able to use Apocalypse here, which I was actually able to today in Masters 1, so it is a possibility. I used Apoc, Eternals, Big Time Spider-Man, and a random 5th that was standing there holding the pom-poms. All you do is use that Big Time special on Nebula. It takes the revives off Nebula and Gamora, and then the Eternals just go boom because they don't spawn with Safeguard because of the Apocalypse, and it's over. Honestly, this is a gift if you're able to do this. If they don't have Super Scroll on defense, it's great to be able to pull this off, but it's not likely, and I definitely understand that. So let's get into some other counters for Infinity Watch in 3. The other best counter to Infinity Watch in room number 3 is going to be something big and something you're not really going to like to have to use. You're going to have to use MOE with Big Time, taking out Ultron, and it's the same thing. Ultron, or Big Time, you use the special on Nebula to take the revives off of Nebula and Gamora. Then you play it like a normal MOE fight from there. Your main target's going to be taking out Phyla-Vell, obviously, because she can give drain when they have death proof, and it's a whole big problem there. The only other team that I see that you can beat this with is if you use some kind of Hivemind with Mysterio and Vulture, because they won't spawn with immunity if you have a Mysterio with 2 Hivemind members, since they'll count as superior 6. The problem with that I see is then you're wasting Hivemind on this team, and I don't feel like it's the best use you can get out of your Hivemind, because Hivemind on offense with SuS can take about pretty much anything in every single room. So I would kind of stray away from that, but it also depends on what you have in other rooms, so it could be another option for you. Next up, we're going to be talking about the absolute worst defense you'll ever see in room number 3, and that's going to be superior 6. The ways you're going to counter this, honestly, I have not seen a counter work on this because not a lot of people have been putting it on defense, but I have a feeling a lot of people are going to start putting it on defense when they realize it's how much of a headache it is. The counters that I'm going to recommend, not for sure because we have not tried it yet, the ones that I'm going to recommend are going to be Apoc, Doom, and Undying. Essentially, Doom gets pushed, takes Apoc on the ride, and you pray Apoc can do enough. The other option is going to be Doom, Super Scroll, Vol, another villain, and another hero to kind of make sure Doom, again, pushes, and then you have the SuS taking the ride. Also, when you first start off in this room, you want to basic with Super Scroll on Lizard, and then you want to special because they get so many buffs on spawn. You make sure you want to use the special second because if you special first, they will not have any turn meter to rewind off rip. So you want to make sure you try to rewind the Green Goblin as much as you can. But obviously with this placement on the end, it can be a little bit worse. So you could always do, make sure you rewind 3 people and Goblin is one of them. It doesn't matter who you target because the ability block will not land because Green Goblin will still have charges. I hope we start seeing this room on defense more so we can get some more answers to it because it is not an easy room at all. But as of right now, those are my best recommendations and I will update as needed. Coming into room number 4, we've got Spiritual Energy, and this is going to be all characters. Anytime a character gains energy from an active ability, they gain +1 extra energy. When an enemy character dies, all ally characters gain +1 ability energy, and then ultimate abilities cost 3 more ability energy. So we're going to be talking about Hivemind with Super Scroll, and the way to take this out is going to be Super Scroll of your own with Superior 6 over Spider Slayer. So you're going to need to watch the replay on this video in the spreadsheet down below to see how this works because it's super specific, but it does work really well, and it's going to be your best counter against Hivemind and Super Scroll in room number 4. Next defense I've been seeing in room 4 a lot is going to be Secret Defenders with Captain America. And the way to counter this easily is going to be Hivemind with Super Scroll, but you're going to be taking out Red Goblin and you're also going to take out Gwenom. You can either put in Quicksilver or Vol. Personally, I prefer Vol over the Gwenom here because of the extra exposed, the extra ability block that Vol poses, and the ability energy that goes to Vol over and over and over again, giving her an ult towards the end of the match to be able to revive any dead allies that you might have. But that's going to be my best recommendation if you don't have Vol. Quicksilver is also a great option here, but unfortunately, you're most likely going to need SuS on offense to be able to efficiently beat these teams. And that's what I'm saying. Keep these things on offense so you're not lacking and you can full clear. Next up, we've got SD with Super Scroll in room number 4. Now, you're going to be seeing this if your opponent is turtling really hard. The way to beat this is going to be using Super Scroll of your own, Apocalypse, and then Hivemind. The issue is for Super Scroll to be able to be at his best, he needs 2 villains and 2 heroes, which means you're going to need to keep in Gwenom and you're going to need to keep in Void Knight. So you're going to need to drop Red Goblin and you're going to need to drop either Venom or Carnage. There's 2 different fights in the spreadsheet, dropping Venom or dropping Carnage. There's one of each. So it's up to you, honestly, in whichever fight you see more fit. But obviously, SuS and Apoc, will absolutely carry this room. And then the other 3 are there to bolster Super Scroll and also give a lot of turn meter, all that kind of good stuff. But that's going to be the way you counter SD+SuS in room number 4. Last up, we've got full Extreme in room number 4. This also applies to the Rogue variant as well. What you're going to do is use Superior 6 on this. Just like before, you're going to drop Lizard and use Vulture. There's a great fight in the infographic that I'm going to have linked down in the description below so you guys can see how this fight plays out. Obviously, in this room, Superior 6 will not be able to ult, so the fight does play out very differently than what you're used to compared to last season or this season in room 6 or 1. So I really recommend watching that video before you jump into this fight so you know who you're targeting and what abilities are going where. Kicking off room number 5, which is going to be Robotic Double, and that's going to be if tech characters use their ultimate, they will revive a random tech ally at 100% health. As you can see, Gamma in here is going to be a throw-in just because of the room rules are kind of meh based on what you have on defense unless you're using Superior 6 in here. So Pegasus does extremely well against this here because they have the insurance policy of the revives from everybody ulting and not just Rescue. So even if Rescue gets deleted, you have other options to revive people. Once again, you're going to need a big Kestrel to pull this off because Kestrel's special is going to absolutely delete 2 or probably 3 of them or get them really low. And then the pings are going to do the rest. The other counter you can use in here is obviously New Warriors. Absolutely nothing changes when you use New Warriors in here. So they're also an incredible option. Next thing I've seen people throwing in room number 5 is going to be New Avengers. This is going to be the same counters that you're going to see I talked about in room number 1. New Warriors absolutely destroys this. MOE with a either Cable or Emma over Ultron also absolutely destroys this. This also works for the Fury variant, the Dormammu variant. Honestly, it doesn't matter. New Avengers should not be on defense, even in a throwaway room, because they just get absolutely slaughtered by New Warriors. Next defense I see a lot of people wanting to throw in room number 5 is going to be Pegasus. Since they're all tech members, they're going to be reviving a bunch, doing a bunch of stuff, right? Problem is, Eternals still absolutely slap this room. It's going to be Eternals with Shang-Chi, Omega Red, and OG Falcon. Shout out to Saw Owner for finding that counter. So what happens is, essentially, your Icarus goes, rewinds a bunch of people, possibly gets a double tap. Cersei goes, rewinds a bunch of people, puts some more vulnerables, they're even lower. Then your Omega Red goes, uses his special, does a bunch of damage, awesome. Then Shang-Chi goes, gives them the kickies. Then Falcon goes, you use OG Falcon's special, then he's going to make it so that your entire team laps their entire team, then you use more abilities, then they're all dead. It's super easy, super efficient. The only way I see this defense getting any better is throwing Doom in here, but unfortunately, unless your Doom and your Pegasus are absolutely massive, then the Eternals comp will also work on that, and I don't see people using Doom for defense here because Doom is just such a great offensive weapon. Again, in room number 5, we're going to be seeing Superior 6 a decent amount because there are 3 tech members in Doc Ock, Spider Slayer, and Green Goblin, and they do ult at different times. Green Goblin obviously ults turn 1, Spider Slayer's turn 2, Doc Ock is turn 2 as well. So this room, you're going to be able to counter it with Super Scroll and Doom, or Doom, Apoc, Undying, just like you were able to counter it before in room number 3. It'll actually be easier in this room because they won't have as many positive effects and they won't have the safeguard and defense up for a bunch of turns, making this a lot harder in room 3. What you can also see on defense here is if they take out Lizard and they take out Kraven and they put Mysterio and they put Vulture to give everybody being a tech ally here so that the ults can revive more people. But again, it's going to be the exact same counters working wonders for you. Kicking off room number 6, which is called Health Insurance. What happens in this room is all positive effects are cleared when you take your turn, and you heal 10% per positive effect that is cleared. This is going to be a room that kind of messes with people when it comes to MOE not doing as well here because you don't have offense up with Kang and all the positive effects from everybody. Same thing with Superior 6. Even though they have Safeguard, they only have it for 1 turn, so that means you will need to have 2 turns for the Safeguard to be able to stay and your positive effects not get taken away. So for this room, I've seen Gamma Dorm in here. New Warriors still does great in here, even though they lose all their positive effects. The positive effects are just going to be dodges and regens, which don't really affect their damage too much. It's still going to be a great room in here. You could also use MOE. You could also use New Warriors, maybe with another plug-in, such as like Red Goblin or somebody that if gets hit, then they'll lose their revives. But honestly, don't take a chance. Just use New Warriors here and do amazing things and kill this room super efficiently. Next up, we've got Infinity Watch once again. This in room 6 is going to be super easy to clear. You just need to use the same Eternals, Big Time, Omega Red, Shang-Chi combo here, because when they take their first turn, they're actually all going to lose Safeguard. And obviously, Gamora and Nebula are not going to have Safeguard anyway because they're going to take their turns. So you use the Big Time special on Nebula, hits the revive off of Nebula and Gamora. You use the Icarus ult, pretty easy cleanup, take the win. Next up, we're once again talking about NA. People are really trying to make this room work. I've just realized it's in like 3 or 4 different rooms. It doesn't matter the variant here, NA Dorm, NA Fury, full NA. Use New Warriors here. They absolutely destroy it. They don't really take a turn. If there's an NA Fury, Coulson will take his first turn, but New Warriors have so many dodges that they take like 1 hit compared to like the 4 that they should take. This room is terrible. Just New Warriors it and you're good to go. Next up in room 6 is what I think is probably the hardest defense to find in room 6. It's going to be Xtreme with Dormammu over Sunspot or over Gambit. It goes either way. Honestly, I've seen both. The play is kind of the same, honestly. What you're going to do here is you're going to use Superior 6 with Vulture over Lizard. And what happens here is you have to be extremely careful with this matchup, because if you kill anybody, then Forge is going to get that turn meter. The only person you can kill is Dormammu. So the goal here is to get everybody very low without finishing people off. And that does mean maybe not using a Vulture ult and using a basic on Dormammu instead, like I did in a fight that's going to be on the spreadsheet. And then what you can have happen is hopefully you have Kraven use his ultimate and he can finish off everybody because it is a permanent kill. If not, what's going to happen is once they take their turns and they hit a Superior 6 member, they will lose their revives. So the main focus here is to get them all pretty low. Make sure Forge is controlled with that Kraven special. Kill Dormammu, and then you're good to go from there. All right, guys, that's going to be it for Season 6 Counter Everything Guide. I hope you guys enjoyed. Obviously, this is week 1, so we're going to see new things as the weeks progress and as people are able to see room rules and come up with new ideas. Obviously, as the Out of Time team comes out, things are going to change because Black Knight is absolutely nuts. So my plan is for next week is to come out with a video focusing only on Black Knight and anywhere that I see him, and then I'll also add the addition of any new rooms that I've seen on defense and how to counter them. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, myself and Juicy have a Discord. That's going to be down in the description. And if you guys want a video link to any of the counters that was talked about today, please go down to the description and look at the spreadsheet that's down there. Everything will be listed down below. But once again, I hope you guys enjoyed. But until next time, this has been Duelim. Later, y'all.